Welcome to London SWF 365. I'm Chris Jones, coming to you unprepared, ready for action and zinging with energy. We have Linda Potgieter all the way from South Africa joining us today for what I promise will be the best session of the festival. So congratulations for turning up to this one. It's going to be a cracker. Before we do that, though, a quick recap on what we have coming in the next day or so. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, we have Eric Kripke with the boys. And so Savannah's been prepping for that like a crazy person. We have, after that, The Thing, Script to Screen. That's tonight, isn't it? Oh, my goodness. The Boys is tonight. I've lost my mind. The Boys is tonight at 7. The Thing at 8. And then tomorrow, we have Kathy Fong-Uneda talking about networking and how to improve your networking skills. She's going to be followed by Makita Robinson talking about Glow and how she put that show together. And then, of course, at 3 o'clock today, we have, 4 o'clock, we have a discovery of which is Kate Brooke is coming back to continue her conversation that she started last night, which was absolutely fabulous. If you missed it, you need to rewatch it on catch up. Okay, that's me done. I'm hurrying because we've only got an hour with Linda, and like myself, Linda struggles to kind of speak to, when she speaks, she struggles to keep it under like 3 days. So we've got 1 hour and then 1 hour of Zoom with Linda directly after it, where you can actually dive in and ask her your questions. So before we get into this, I just want to make one thing really I want to bring it to the front of your mind. I want this conversation to operate in two spaces: your creative space, your script, your career, but you're also your personal space, your life, and how it's showing up for you. The two are clearly intertwined, but let's not try and pigeonhole it in either one of those and see what comes up if we're prepared to look at both of those aspects of our life. So let's zoom over to South Africa. Linda, do we have you?
Loud and clear. Chris, how you doing? I'm
fabulous. I can hear you've got air conditioning on, so it must be like 1,000,000 degrees there, and it's 1,000,000 degrees minus here.
Right, yeah, it's averaging about 40 degrees these days. So yeah, if I'm glowing, it's bullets of sweat.
Fantastic. So look, we can dive straight into it, Linda, because I know you're all ready and fired up to go. Whenever I do anything with you, you're the easiest person to interview. I've literally written 3 words here, and I'm not really going to be interviewing you. I'm just going to light the blue touch paper and stand back. But the 3 words are negotiation, confidence, and opportunity. And I think all of those are, you know, that speaks to your personal skill set and I suppose the genesis of your training, but also where you've gone to and the world in which we find ourselves right now. So, should we go? Do you want to dive straight in?
Okay. If you're ready for me, I'm ready for you.
I'm ready.
So first of all, thank you, Chris. Thank you for trusting me with your amazing audience. Thank you for the friendship that we have developed over the years and years. We probably are one of the most unlikely friendships on the planet, but one of the most powerful as far as I'm concerned. And I think it's a mutually strong, beneficial environment. And to everyone listening, thank you for taking the time and pitching up today, because a lot of people are not. A lot of people are still in their pajamas, and you may be, but that's okay, you're here. And I want to tell you that the world looks to you. The world looks to your industry for stories and for creativity and for innovation and what next. And so with regards to confidence, opportunity, negotiation, I probably am the least likely, or one of them, the least likely characters to operate well in that space. But what I plan to do today is share with you some practical power tools that have helped me over the years in a most incredible, life-changing way. And I don't believe that knowledge is power. I believe that the application of knowledge is power. So if I can take some tools and put them into your hands and help you to get up, dress up, and go slay your day, or go and do your thing, or whatever it is, then I want to do that. And I'm looking forward to the chat after. So we don't have a live chat going here per se, but I want to ask you on the topic of confidence. And if you've got a pen and paper, then please make a note. And if you don't, why don't you go and grab one, because this is really going to help you. Like Chris said, it applies to us personally and professionally. There is a difference between self-confidence and self-esteem. And I grew up as like a 0 out of 10 on both of those things. And I'll tell you in a minute why. But what is the difference to you between self-confidence and self-esteem? And I want you to just take 5 seconds and think about that. And there's good news on the answer. Self-confidence.
Sorry, Linda. Can we just to clear up, we can actually put this in the Facebook chat. So please do put the answers in Facebook, and then we can enter the conversation with each other as well.
Nice. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so if you want to just drop that into the Facebook chat, what is the difference to you between self-confidence and self-esteem? And don't look for the right answer, right? So I'm going to just grab some answers here. You're in your sweater and leather jacket. Okay, I like that. Fantastic earrings. Thank you, Claire. It is about bold and confidence today. So these are my tribal African earrings. Okay, so live chat. So what is the difference to you between self-confidence and self-esteem? And don't write a long answer. Just give a couple of bullet points, because this is going to take you into your own mind, into how you think about things, how you see yourself. And it's going to take you to the next step at the end of this conversation in terms of actually how much simpler it is to boost your self-confidence versus what the world teaches us. Confidence is how you project yourself. Esteem is how you feel inside. Okay, we got it there. Thank you. That's great. Thanks, Patricia, for getting involved. Self-confidence, outer world. Esteem, inner world. That's a nice summary of that. Thanks, Suze. That's great. Self-confidence is about belief in your skill, and self-esteem is about belief in yourself. Bernadette, you're on the right track. Absolutely on the right track. Because whilst they are intertwined, they're different. Esteem is worth, confidence is image. Yes, Sam is definitely part of that. You guys are on the right track, absolutely. We're going to, so confidence is about taking action, trusting our skills, self-esteem is, now Anna, you've said something very important about trust, self-trust, value myself as a person. Okay, I'm going to take it from there. The next thing I want you to do, well, let's give you this first. Self-confidence is, the word confidence is rooted in the Latin fidere, which means, fidere means trust, right? So self-confidence means self-trust. How much do you trust yourself to do something, to go after something and go and create something? Now, as far as, let's say, for example, I put in front of you a recipe for, I don't know, chocolate cake or carrot cake or that fresh bread that you want. I'll put in front of you a recipe, right, for that beautiful velvet chocolate cake. And I give you all the ingredients. Would you trust yourself to follow that recipe and bake that cake? You would, right? Because you don't have to be an expert. It could be the first time you're doing it, but you have the recipe, you have the ingredients, and so now you can just press play and follow the recipe and out will pop that cake. So that is confidence in following a recipe and following something. Now, here's the good news about self-confidence. One of the 4 things that I teach in my business with my clients is one of the 4 things that boosts self-confidence the quickest is new skills, which is why we must always be forevermore a student of life. It doesn't matter what you're reading or listening to or who you're talking to. It's important that what you put into your ears and your mind that comes out your mouth and it comes out on paper, that it's positive, that it's uplifting, that it's empowering, that it's fueling all the good stuff that brings out that optimism in you, right? And it creates opportunity. So self-confidence, as soon as your skills go up, your value goes up, and the marketplace pays for value. That's all that the marketplace does. As if you're a writer, or let's say you're a script writer, which is an amazing passion and talent and skill, and it requires a lot of diligence. I'm going to say something that might piss you off, okay? Your story, or whether you're a producer, whatever your role is, you don't have any value in the marketplace unless you're solving someone's problem. When I heard that years ago, I'm like, like I have a lot of value, like what I do counts. No, it matters to me. But you can write the most epic story you've ever written, right? But if it's not sought after by a certain market at a certain time, if it's not solving a problem, then it only has value to you, which is why you won't be paid for it. So that's why when people read your story and they go, no, that's crap, I don't like it, change this, and we get offended when people correct our work. That's just That's just high school kind of mindset. We have to ditch that. You can be passionate and connected to your story or whatever it is that you do as a professional without being offended when the correction comes, because the correction is not saying you're wrong. The correction is, could you tweak it to solve my problem? This is what I need. Or can you add XYZ, right? So self-confidence shoots up when your skills shoot up, which is why you have to continuously be a student of that which is mastering your craft. And people skills, of all skills, people skills are the #1 change agent in life. Money comes from people. Opportunity comes from people. All kinds of things come from open doors through people, right? So self-confidence this is the good news. If you are low on confidence, now I'm going to ask you to do a second thing. And if we can open up the Facebook chat box, if you're happy to do this, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being you're ready to walk onto the cover of GQ magazine or of Vogue magazine right now. On the confidence scale, where are you on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being like, I'm the shizness, like I'm ready to get onto the cover of any magazine. On a scale of 1 to 10, pop it into the chat box and let's see where you're at. This is powerful. This is know thyself stuff, which can be really transforming. So if you're happy to share that, and I encourage you to do that, don't worry about what anyone else thinks. If you're here and you want to be seen as confident, but you're a 4 out of 10, you want to put that in, because humility and vulnerability are powerful. So if you want to chat then, okay, Rachel, awesome, 7 out of 10. Good stuff. A 4, Alistair, thank you. Thanks for being honest. So we have a 7, we had a 4, but a 5, Karen or Karen. That's great. Thanks so much. 4, Patricia, again, thanks so much, Patricia, for taking part here. 6 or 7, I'm getting there, but not quite ready. Okay, Lauren, great. That's fantastic. You know where you're at. About a 5? Okay. This is important for you to know. Matt, 8 out of 10. Good stuff. Hopefully nobody is going to be saying a 10 and a 4, okay? Because if you're 10 out of 10, it means you can learn nothing. Fluctuate between 1 and 12 daily. How do I say that? That's a beautiful name. Thesey, Tessie, and Suze, 7. Okay, good stuff. You guys know where you're at. So we have 7s, we have 8s, we have 5 or 6, Sam. All right, here's what you want to do, and thanks for that. You want to take where you're at. Let's say you were a 4 or 5 or 6, right? Let's say you're a 5. You want to ask yourself this question. What is making up the other 50%? That lack of confidence, what is that? You need to answer this question with yourself later on, maybe at the end of your day. Because if you are a 4 or a 5 or a 6 or even a 7 or an 8, that's fantastic. One, obviously you want to know what it is that's making you feel so confident. But on the other side, what is that gap? If you're a 6 out of 10, what's that 40%? What's that made of? You have to know yourself. You have to know where you're lacking confidence. Otherwise, where do you know where to go, right? And so a lot of you were correct. Self-esteem is your evaluation of your own self-worth. That's what self-esteem is. But the good news is when your self-confidence goes up through new skills and higher value, your self-esteem rises up as well. Because we have many people struggling with their identity in the world today. And there's a reason for that. The social sciences and the studies prove, and I'm going to share that with you in a minute, but you want to write down what your out of 10 is, what that gap is, and what you think that gap is made up of. Because therein lies opportunity. Therein lies the option to negotiate. Therein lies your increased confidence and doors open. Okay, so as far as, let's go here. I mean, if we probably haven't met, maybe I've met some of you. My name is Linda, and I hail from beautiful, sunny South Africa. I was born and raised here for 30 years. I spent about 17 years in beautiful UK. I don't miss the weather. I love London. I think London is the fashion capital of the world, right alongside Italy. But for the 17 years I was there, we probably spent about a couple of years in the US and traveling the world. And then we landed back here in South Africa about almost 2 years ago. So as far as my confidence is concerned, it's quite ironic. It's really pretty freaking ridiculous that I'm here talking to amazing people like you across the world as I do every day. That's what I do in business, about confidence, because that's not how I grew up. I did not grow up confidence. Whatever the opposite, I was a -10 out of 10 on self-esteem as well. I grew up in a few different homes for different reasons. I believe that my fathers, I had many, and my mom and all the people who raised me, I believe that they did the best that they could with what they had. Many of them were abused. Therefore, I went through a lot of abuse, physical, sexual, emotional, the works. And but they did the best that they could. They really did. But what happened during going from one home to another, then back with my mom and my sisters, then to other homes, and then back with them, and so on, is by the time I was 17, I was a pretty pissed off kid, ready to take on the world, and no confidence. But I decided I'm going to fake it till I make it, which I had no choice, right? At 17, all I remember growing up hearing most was, "She's not my daughter." And I don't know if you can see, that's my first tattoo that I got right there. They said if you go for a tattoo, you'll go for a second. I'm like, I'm we one and done. Well, they were right. I'm going back for more. But all I heard was, people would say, "Oh, is that Linda? That's your daughter? She's so sweet." I would be 5 or 6 or 10 or 12. And all I heard often was, "She's not my daughter. No, she's not my daughter. No, she's not my daughter." I've got an adoption story as well, twice. 2 stepfathers were going to adopt me, and I was so excited. I used to handwrite out my new surname and my new signature, like the age of 8, right? And then the age of 10 and whatever. And twice they changed their minds. So by the time I was like 14, 15, I'm like, screw you. I don't need you guys anyway. I don't freaking need anybody. I was a pissed off, ambitious, I'm going to show you young woman. Very unhealthy, okay? Very unhealthy. I don't advise that you fake it till you make it. I went gray at 27. This whole patch here in front is gray. This here at the back is a little more my dark blonde color. Fake it till you make it is a very stressful way to live. So basically, I ended up pretty much marrying my career because that's where I found love. At the age of 17, one of my stepfathers kicked me out and said, "Okay, here you go. It's time to move on. No car, no money, no job, no home, no nothing." And I'm like, "Well, fine, I'll show you. I'll show everybody. I'll just show everybody actually what I can do, how special I am. I do have value," right? Because we crave acceptance. Human nature is we want to be loved and accepted and appreciated. And I found all of that at the office. I found all of that appreciation and promotion and accolades and awards. But I sold my soul to my career. I had a real passion for fashion. I'm so blessed to be in fashion today, and that's what I do, fashion and beauty. And I work with women all over the world on confidence, on getting up, dressing up, and being that bold light on a hill, and just freaking going for it in life. But working with in my career in my 20s into my early 30s, I was that successful person on the outside, but I was a broken woman on the inside. I was broken. I used to go through relationships like that. I would use men because guess why? I thought every single man is going to hit me. Well, all of them have thus far, so I guess they're all the same, right? So that is not helpful going into relationships and marriage. My first marriage lasted 4 months. I had no business getting married. And walking down the aisle, I knew that I was making a mistake. It's like I should have been that runaway bride, but I'm like, shit, no, we've paid. All the people are here. Don't want to disappoint anyone. I'll make this work. I will fix it. 4 months later, he hit me twice, took my ring off because I said that is the one thing. If you freaking lay a hand on me, because I grew up with that shit, I'm out of here. First time it happened, I moved out. I thought, okay, I'll give him a second chance. Second time, I'm like, screw it, I'm out. And it was devastating to me. And so I started repeating all the patterns that I'd been raised with. Anyway, what happened after, I've been married now 17 years, 17 years, 18, shit, my husband's over here, 18 years. And listen, it's not perfect, but oh my gosh, I learned some stuff that I want to share with you that turned everything around, everything around. My marriage is a walking miracle of life. It was the very last thing that I thought that I would get right. I was petrified of being a mother because I was told, you must never be a mom, you're too impatient, you're too ambitious, you belong in corporate, and don't ever have kids. You'll be a terrible mother. It's like, who the fuck says that kind of stuff, right? Hurt people. I've learned that. And I worked hard on fighting my way out of that kind of stuff. But all of this is connected to confidence and opportunity and negotiation and to thriving in crisis, because there is life outside of Brexit. There is life, thank you, Lord, outside of Trump and what's going on in the USA. There's life outside of COVID, because you're story writers, a lot of you, right? So we are the only species on the planet that get to write our own story. We literally can create our own future. No other species alive ever before in the history of the universe is able to do that except us. So as a story writer, what do you want to be? What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? Who do you want to go with? All of these things, like I couldn't answer those questions for years when I first got going. Anyway, the point is, I want to give you these 8 tools because I was probably about 27 when I met my biological father. And this is all to do with confidence because I must have been 12 when I said to my mom, my mom is green-eyed brunette, my sisters were all green-eyed brunette, I'm a brown-eyed, I was white, like pale-faced, as like white as you can be. And I said to her, am I adopted? You can tell me, like I can handle it. Am I adopted? And she said, no, lovey, wait till you meet your father because I didn't look like them, I didn't sound like them, I for sure didn't live like them. They're beautiful, patient, merciful, amazing people who just live very differently to me. I'm like, yeah, that freight train, right? Like I'm coming freaking through. Either I'm going to railroad you or stand aside or join the journey. And my heart was in the right place. But oh my gosh, did I have a wake of bodies and relationships in my trail. And so when it came to, and then I met my father. And I was like, oh, okay, I see what you mean. That's where I get it all from. He was just like this big, my late great father who we lost 3 years ago, this big, bullish, freaking tattooed, shaven Scotsman that you do not want to cross paths with in a dark alley. Like you think, shit, this is time to exit. He was a scary looking guy, but he also was raised with a very, very, very tough background from a young boy. And so we like collided like oil and water. Like there was an explosion of personalities and hurt and unforgiveness and all kinds of crap that we had to deal with. And many difficult years transpired. At the age of 28, I started going to getting some psychotherapy because a friend of mine said, listen, you've got to go and sort your shit out because, you know, it's been 5 months since your last boyfriend. You've got a month to go. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he said, you have a 6-month track record with men, Linda. I'm like, no, I don't. Then a month later, I sat in his office. I'm like, okay, I do. Why? What do you mean? What do you see? And then I started a long journey into personal development, and I took the long way around because, listen, I was stiff-necked, okay? I was a young woman, suited and booted, kind of young yuppie in South Africa, in Johannesburg, high-flying city, and the company I worked for attracted all the freaking yuppies. And I walked into her office one day because I made the appointment with the psychotherapist, and I walked in, shook her hand, and I took the furthest seat from her. You know, you had the seat over here and the one over there. They're close, and then you got a bench over here. I took the furthest one. I had a file in my hand. I had an Excel spreadsheet, and I proceeded to tell her what we were going to address, what feelings it evoked in me, and what the plan of action would be in terms of how we handle it. So I was telling this highly recommended psychotherapist or psychiatrist, whatever it was, telling her this is the issue, and here's what the Excel spreadsheet is like, what I feel about it, and then what the plan of action is. And then I'll probably be done in 1 or 2 sessions. She probably sat there and like, okay, this is the day that I earn all of my salary. All of my training comes down to this. Well, suffice it to say, by the second session, I was sitting across from her and going through boxes of tissues, and the whole of Pandora's box opened up. It was not freaking easy. It's been some of the hardest work that I've done in my life, but I have not stopped since the age of 27, 46. Okay, that's like 21, 22 years, something like that. Okay, over 20, 21 years. And but it's been the most fruitful part of my life, is fighting for freedom in the areas that were holding me back and holding me down and keeping me chained and bound. And some of them I have condensed into this, like Chris knows, I can talk for days on something that I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about people. I found freedom, and I am passionate about sharing it with other people, men and women, but I work with women mostly, and it's a real privilege. So going from she's not my daughter to all kinds of inferiority issues and no self-esteem, no self-confidence whatsoever, I had one skill that I'll tell you about in a minute that really opened massive doors for me, massive doors. But the first thing I want to tell you, so I've got like 8 tools I want to give you right now, things that form part and parcel of my toolkit for life, and things that I have studied for a long time. I mean, you know, I'm 49 in a couple of months, and I feel like, shit, the more I learn, the more I feel like I don't know anything. And I'm an avid, passionate student of life and of people. And I'm grateful for the second chances that I've been given with fathers and with other people that I have had to release and forgive and ask for forgiveness of as well. So the first one I want to give you is all about the foundation of who you are, right? We're going to self-esteem now. And we said earlier, self-esteem is your own evaluation of your own self-worth. Now, we all believe different things, right? So people have different faiths. Some are Buddhists, and some are Hare Krishna, and some are Messianic Jews, and some are agnostics, and some are dedicated atheists, whatever. It doesn't matter what you believe. You just have, I have a saying, every day is Tuesday. And you get to choose every day what you believe, what you wear, who you talk to, whether you do that thing or not, all of those things. But when it comes to faith, so the first word I have here is actually father. One of the, if not the number one contributing factor, and you go and do the research yourself, for people who struggle with their identity and struggle with low self-esteem is a lack of, it's the absence of the father. And I'm not talking, it doesn't have to necessarily be the biological father. And we're not going to go, we don't have time to go into all of that either. And I have had many fathers, okay, so I know all about that. But the absence of a father who affirms and encourages and edifies and builds up and is there and nurtures, whether it's himself or alongside a woman or whatever, the absence of the father creates a massive gap in the heart of the human. It is just, the evidence is there, go do it yourself. So the first word is father, which produces the foundation of a young boy or a young girl's identity. Right? So your identity is based on who am I and who has spoken into my life and all of that kind of stuff. But the first power tool, I would say, is father/foundation. Now, I said, again, it doesn't matter what you believe. And it also, you know, everyone's got a story, and you have a very valid story in terms of how you were raised and who raised you, what happened to you. Maybe you went through some abuse like I did. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you're somewhere in the middle. But whatever you went through, it's valid. It's really valid. And we live in a world sometimes that has not trained us to deal with those things appropriately. It's far less taboo today. It's not even taboo anymore at all to do personal development and go after those things that have held you back. Because unless you get healing and grieving for your past, it will master you. All right, so the first one is father. You have to look at what is the foundation, upon what does my identity and my self-esteem rest? What is that foundation? Because it's either going to be sand or it's going to be rock. And if you're trying to build your house on sand, well, you know how that goes. You have to identify whatever it is for you. That foundation needs to be rock solid in your heart, in your mind. And you need to be single-minded about what is the foundation. You have to have a vision greater than you. You did not create you, okay? It doesn't matter what you agree with or what you believe faith-wise or science-wise or whatever. You did not create everything. And so what is that level of foundation that what you have faith in, okay? You have to have the faith in something greater than yourself. If it's just you and your faith is you and you're your foundation, well, guess what? Then you're going to be up one day and down the next, and you're going to be feeling happy, and you're going to be feeling sad, then you're going to be pissed off, then you're going to be productive. It has to be greater than you. All right. Number two is you have to fight. You have to fight for your freedom like a son of a gun in every single area of your life. If there are things from your past that are still haunting you and hounding you, I'm telling you, if you don't go and deal with that stuff, it will master you. Your past will remain your present, and it will dictate your future. You have to break free of that thing because it's all here. All the programming that was done here can be unprogrammed. It's one of the most powerful things that I've found in my life, and the help that I got from my coach and mentor, a woman by the name of Danny Johnson, a brother and a friend of mine who I consider family because of what he did for me in life. 8 years ago, this February, actually 8 years ago, in London, took me kicking and screaming to a freaking conference that I did not want to go to, and it turned my whole life around. And I know that Chris has done a lot. He does a lot of personal development. Like Landmark is one of the well-known ones in Europe as well, in the UK. But if you don't fight for yourself, nobody else will. Your spouse won't, your kids won't, your employer won't, your colleagues, your peers won't. You need to fight as if your life depended on it. That's what I did. Like, I decided, I know my past is part of me, but a damn well will not dictate me anymore. It won't own me. It will not master me. So I did whatever I could. Personal development, professional development, training, coaching, like you name it. And I'm very discerning in what I go for. I don't just do anything out there. I am very discerning of where my time and my money and my effort goes. Because those are the three things you need to break free from anything and get into the next level. You've got to invest time. You've got to invest money. And you have to invest effort. Otherwise, so anything of value is going to cost you those three things. But guess what most people are not prepared to do? You're going to think it's money, but it's not. A lot of people are not prepared to invest their time. They want the shortcut. They want the silver bullet. They want that, just give me the Band-Aid and let me move on. That just means you're going to get more of what you've already got. This microwave society that we live in, that is like push a button and get that thing and get what you want. That's not life, man. That is just treading water. So you're going to fight like a warrior on the battleground. And I did a photo shoot. I overcame something massive, and I did a photo shoot in New York City a couple of years ago, and it was just this, I really just enjoyed overcoming this thing, and I dressed up, and I loved it because I fought hard for something, and I really got it. We'll always, you know how long it takes, exactly how long it takes to be free of all your shit and of all the stuff that happened in the past, and to be free of the demons that haunt you sometimes, and all those things that hold you back? It takes exactly 1 day longer than a lifetime. That's it. Because, so you may as well drop the struggle and embrace the journey. That's life. That is, you know, it's a cliche. It's like embrace the journey. You're never going to be on the other side of the thing that you've struggled with. You're going to be at a high level, a different level. You often get completely free of something, but it remains part of you because it builds up who you are today. So now it's part of you. It's part of your DNA. And talking about DNA, you are not a result of your DNA patterns. I think that accounts for 7 to 9% DNA that's passed on has an impact on us. About 95% of who we are and what we want to do and who we want to be is up to us. We write our own story. Number 3, this one is huge. Focus. Focus is everything. What you focus on will grow. What you feed will flourish. Your focus needs to be on the thing that you want to achieve, the life that you want to live. When I coached at this 8 years ago, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm focusing on about 6 or 7 different things. No wonder I start something and I can't stop it. And I can't finish it. I don't follow through. And that knocks your self-confidence and it knocks your self-esteem. So what you focus on will flourish. So let me ask you, how focused have you been on COVID? How focused have you been on the freaking politics? How focused have you been on the economics? And we all have been hard hit, all right, okay? So some people and some companies have thrived, but we have 2 businesses and both of them shut down when COVID landed and our income came to 0. We all have had to adapt and swivel and pivot and all those words that have been thrown out under there. But if you're focusing and feeding Twitter and what freaking Trump is saying today and what Biden and everyone else is doing and what Brexit is or isn't going to achieve, and if that's what you're focusing on, well, you could ask yourself the question, what is it achieved for you? What results has it brought for you? Focusing on all of that. Leave the bitching and complaining and the moaning and the blaming to the people who are doing it well. Gosh, because there are people who are doing that so well the last year and a half. They are there like furiously on social media spewing out a lot of negativity. So guess what they're going to go and get in their life? A lot of negativity. Because what you put out is what you get in. You could call it karma, you could call it sowing and reaping, you can call it what you like. It's a spiritual law. There are supernatural laws that we cannot alter. So what you put out is what you're going to get in. You have got to be so single-minded in your focus. Keep the main thing. That'll boost your confidence. Doesn't mean you're not informed. I know exactly what's going on in the world. But when COVID landed and you get like these unsolicited emails and freaking Facebook messages and everything from friends and family who just want to keep you informed that you must do this. And like, I just said to them all, I spent the first month, thank you so much for thinking of me. Please don't send me anything with regards to COVID or politics. No, but Linda, you need to be informed. Like, I am freaking fully informed. Please do not send me anything regarding COVID or politics. I did that for a month, back to back. It all stopped. It stopped. I decide what goes in my mind. I decide what I focus on. And I launched a whole new business and I've had the best year of my life. The best year in my business. What you focus on is going to grow. Number 4, friends and family. Okay, we've got some effing tools here. All Fs. I have a thing with the F word. Friends and family. This is so life-altering. Your environment is everything. I heard my coach say that 8 years ago, and it blew my brain right in two. Your friends and family and your peers and whoever, those people that you hang around with, those are your mentors. What they do, how they dress, how they're handling things, your closest 5 friends are a reflection of you. So I'm going to sit back for a minute and just see how you feel about that. Your closest 5 friends, those who you hang out with on a regular basis, whether they're friends or colleagues or whatever, that is a mirror up to you. That's a reflection of you. Who you hang out with is who you are. Birds of a feather, you've heard that, right? So your friends and family. 8 years ago, I changed my whole social environment by over 90%. 93% of my whole social landscape changed because I realized they're good people. They mean well. But what's coming out of their mouths was negativity and focus on the wrong stuff and complaining and stuff that I just had become so dull and so desensitized to. But that's who mentors us. The TV, the social media, the marketing, whatever you're writing, everything, your parents still, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your whatever, your lover, your mother, your brother, all of them. It all comes in here and it sticks in our mind and it comes out our mouth and then it lands on paper and then we create it and then we're wondering why we're not doing well. Your friends and family. I'm not saying disconnect at all. I'm actually not a believer in that at all. And that's got nothing to do with boundaries. You can love someone and accept them where they are, but not really do a lot of life with them. You just kind of just start pulling back. And if you want to talk more about that, we can do that in the chat room. Your environment is everything. And when I changed my environment, oh my gosh, did my eyes and ears open up to a whole new way of language, of speaking, of thinking. And it changed my whole life. I went from facing my second divorce, being a guilty absent mom, having to drink a bottle, sometimes 2 of wine a night just to get through my reality, stressed out, burnt out, and a total shopaholic, just trying to deal with all the holes in my heart that was there at the time. And when I just cut back from my natural environment and I allowed space for other people to come in, oh my gosh, it was just a whole new world. It was like stepping into a whole new planet. It was phenomenal. Number 5, okay. You need to be okay with looking like a fool in life, a lot. If you are holding back because of fear of failure or fear of making a mistake or fear of looking like an arsehole or fear of any of that, because fear is the other F word, you need to be okay with looking like a fool often, because there is no success without failure. There is no success without making mistakes. I used to be a complete control freak. I mean, out of my background, probably like a lot of yours as well, comes the need to control your environment, right? I used to, I'll tell you some basic things. There's a lot more. I used to have to do everything in even numbers, right? So if I chew twice on the left, I must move my foot over and chew twice here. If I walk on a certain pavement and there's a crack under my left foot, I've got to be a crack. Do you see what I'm going? I would only go to the movies and sit in an even row in an even chair. Row 8, number 4, or row 12, number 6, or whatever. Because justice and equality was so important to me. I had lived a life of such abuse and injustice that I couldn't see past even numbers. The scales had to balance. So it produced a real control freak in me. I didn't know that. I didn't think that. And my life looked like peachy on the outside, but I was highly strung on the inside. This is the stuff that cancer is made of. And so I decided for me to do the opposite, I have to be, because I didn't ever want to make a mistake. I didn't want to ever not have the answer. I didn't want to look like an idiot. I needed to be professional and all of those things. I needed to be accepted and affirmed. And I decided to break this control, to break the things that are causing me gray hairs and sleepless nights. I used to live on sleeping pills. It was like somebody else's life when I think back on it. I did the opposite. So I went to sit in row 9 in seat number 3. And the whole night I would sit there like feeling this uneven number on me. It was physical. And it took me years and years. If I chew 3 times here, I will just go, well, screw you. I'm just going to do 1 here. I still feel it. I still feel that conscious decision of doing things in odd numbers. But that keeps me out of my control freaking freak. That keeps me moving forward. And I did a lot of things, okay? You won't even believe what I did. To say I'm going to make a fool of myself because perfection owned me. Perfection owned me. That is a prison that is, you can't wish on your worst enemy. I did things like, we went to church for a while, and I did like a Christian drama production, and I was playing 83-year-old Sarah who couldn't have a baby, and I, at the time, was struggling for years to have a baby. So my opening scene to friends and family and all the people in front of the freaking church in Kingston in London was crying because I couldn't have a baby, dressed in all these outfits that I didn't like. And I felt like a fool. I felt like a complete idiot. And I did other things. I went on a mission trip. I'm not the kind of person to go on a mission trip. That's not my thing. It's not my jam. It's not my whatever. Every single thing that challenged me and like, you don't do this, I want you to do that. That's what I do. You need to be okay with looking like a fool. Number 6, fashion, okay? Fashion. I'm not saying this just because I'm in the industry. At the age of 17, usually the youngest, the only woman, and the least educated, I had no option. There was no option to go for tertiary education. The one skill that I had learned and taught myself was how to dress well. I studied people. I saw what the men and women wore, and I wrote it down, and I trained myself. I trained myself on how to dress well. That got me interviewed, invited. It got me promoted. It got me frontline jobs when I was like the youngest and I had the least skills. And then I would say, like, do you mind if I ask why you've promoted me into this? Well, you're a good ambassador for our company. It got me paid so well. It got me headhunted internationally. It got me invited to upmarket social events. I'm like, do they know who I am? Because I come from the other side of the tracks. Okay, we've been homeless a few times. If the church hadn't taken us in, my mom and the girls, 3 or 4 times, I think it was 3 times, I don't know what would have happened to us. So I know what that's like to have nothing and fear. One of the reasons I grew up with a real unhealthy relationship with food was because from a very young age, I feared running out of food. So I used to hold food under my bed, and then I used to binge. And then so that just took me into like young adulthood, right? And like this whole, which is why in what I do in my business, I've got a chapter called I Love My Body, because I freaking overcame that thing. It owned me for so long, it doesn't anymore. So fashion is, your outside is not disconnected from your inside. A lot of people say, oh, beauty is an inside job. Yeah, it is. But you're not disconnected from your outside body, right? You're not. You're one whole being, your spirit and soul and body and everything. So that which is on the inside of you, your passion, your compassion, your skills, your value, your scruples, your ambition, your talent, your craft, you have to show that up on the outside. You need to represent who you are. When you walk into a room, you want to walk in with a message. What do you want to say? What is the message you want to give? Do you want to walk in and give the message that you are a woman of strength, substance, and style? Do you want to give the message that you are approachable, that you are talented, that you're valuable, that you've got something to add? Like that shows up on the outside. And a lot of people say, well, I don't care. This is how I dress, like it or leave it. Well, then guess what? Many people are leaving it. Many people, you won't even know the opportunities you're missing. Dressing well, the evidence abounds that dressing well and putting our best dress foot forward. I'm not talking red carpet ready, 9-inch heels and dripping bling, okay? Because although this is really a lot of fun, I love this. This is my thing. Is like bold earrings. I don't wear many necklaces down here. Why? Well, I'm just going to tell you, because I have had a breast reduction, and even after that, I'm pretty blessed in the chest. So for me, I am much more comfortable with bold bling here instead of things hanging around down here, because that distracts me, pulls my confidence down. What you wear, you need to understand. There's stuff that's going to position you for confidence, and there's stuff that's going to pull on your confidence. So when it comes to fashion, it is an expression of yourself. It's an extension of yourself. Through what you wear, you can represent belonging and community. And if you're dealing with people's money, you better make sure that you dress a little bit better than they do. If you've got a client who is a very casual, kind of like script writing or film or creative or music or whatever industry, you take it up a notch. You're the one who's the ambassador. You're the one with the leadership on where are you leading them to go. And in this current COVID climate, come on, how easy is it to set yourself apart? Everyone is still in their PJs waiting for COVID to move on by. It is so easy to set yourself apart, be noticed, does it whatever your background is on Zoom. And by now, come on guys, there is no excuse for still having you. Like, listen, I am the furthest thing from a techie, okay? I've got this microphone here wrapped in, which my husband has very helpfully wrapped me in, just so it's wrapped, okay, with some stuff. But then she's like this, okay, she's got a bling mask on because it needs to be pretty. I'm put off and distracted by things that, you know, that look tacky and wires everywhere. And so, but if I can work things out, and I'm still playing with, we moved recently and I'm playing with stuff, there's no excuse for still having your phone down here or your laptop down here and giving us a tour of your nostrils. We're past that, okay? You are a professional. The world looks to you for leadership. They do. You are a leader whether you like it or not. You just get to decide, well, who do I have influence over and how am I going to lead? How am I going to do that? It's entirely up to you. You have the leadership whether you like it or not. It is a spiritual law. So you need to understand that what you wear sends a message. And you're in the fashion business whether you like it or not. So you may as well get up, dress up, and put your best foot forward. And sometimes it just means, you know, a nice pair of chinos or cargo pants or whatever at home. Get out of your yoga pants, get out of your PJs, get out of those sweatpants, get out of that tracky, and then just put a pair of jeans on and a nice top. Put a little bit of, you know, make an effort with your makeup. And guys, if you need a haircut or if you're growing it, like, do something with it. Don't be conformed to the world because the world is looking freaking shabby lately. And if you want to stand out and be noticed and be given an opportunity, fashion is one of your tools. All right. Number 7 is be a philanthropist. Okay, it's not all F, it's PH, but still. Philanthropist. And people think it's just money. It's not money. There is a little book called The Go-Giver. The Go-Giver by, stand corrected, I think it's John Deere. Anyway, there's only one of it. It's a teeny tiny little red book. It's a simple read. It's called The Go-Giver, but it's so incredibly powerful. If you study the people who have succeeded in life, and by success, that is money, not money only. That is peace, that's relationships, that is a fulfilling, rewarding, fun life. Whether you want to be a surfer, you can be a really successful surfer and not earn much money at all, and have a lot of peace and fulfillment, but you're living your best life because you have people skills and you understand things, the concepts and the laws, such as you have to give before you get. It is another spiritual law. You have to give before you get. And this little book is all about being the most powerful giver. So here in COVID season, when you're facing crisis or facing no income or facing decisions that you have to make, the best thing that you can do with your time is see how you can help others. You may think that that sounds counterproductive, but I'm telling you, you have value, you have skill, you have connections, you have ideas, and you can do something with that. Your vision has got to be greater than yourself. It must be bigger than you. So you can take that and decide, well, who can I help to succeed today? Who is it that you're going to help to succeed? And then go and do that. And then another one, and then you see what happens. And then you're so welcome to send me a message and say, oh my gosh, I started doing this. Here's what's happening. Doors will open for you. It's a spiritual law that we are to give before we receive. And the receiving, by the way, requires humility. You have to be open to receiving. Otherwise, you block the whole free flow of the spiritual law, which is giving and receiving, sowing and reaping, karma, whatever you want to call it. So be a philanthropist of all that which you have to give and help others. Get your focus off yourself. You will feel more confident. You will feel more fulfilled when you go to bed at night, knowing that that's what you've done, that you've helped somebody. That's really, really important. It's very powerful. And you can help write a story for somebody else's future by opening a door for them. It's in your DNA to be a powerful and generous giver. All right. And tool number 8, okay? And this is probably the most powerful of all of them. And it's a biggie. And it's not easy, but it's extremely, extremely helpful. Number 8 is forgiveness. Okay, so I know it's more like the F word and it's more like a cuss word and a swear word for a lot of people. If you harbor judgment and resentment in your heart toward anybody on this planet, anybody, any judgment or bitterness or resentment or envy or any of that, you are literally picking up a barrier and putting up a barrier in front of success and opportunity in your life. Because we were not designed to live with a bitter heart. It goes against our very divine design. It goes against everything that we stand for. So if you have people in your life that you need to forgive, I'm going to make a couple of recommendations to you. I have done a lot of this. I have had to forgive a lot of people, and oh boy, have I had to ask for a lot of forgiveness from people. People who hurt me, people who abused me, all kinds of levels of forgiveness. And it doesn't happen overnight. But if you're committed to this process, I guarantee you that it will open doors, the chains will come off, and you will move forward with your life. Forgiveness is one of the most powerful, superhuman superpowers on the planet. And as I say, every day is Tuesday. We get to choose. Are we going to harbor unforgiveness, or are we going to live in a self-imposed prison of bitterness and resentment, which, by the way, causes cancer and all kinds of disease that ends our life early? Forgiving someone does not release them from what they did to you or how they hurt you. Forgiving them releases yourself. You've heard all of this, guys. It releases yourself, your mind and your heart and your thoughts to move on from that experience, to not be chained and bound by that experience. So number one, you need to write down all the people that you need to forgive. And I'm talking even about the guy at the supermarket who flipped you off because whatever, anybody, any potential barrier to your success in life, you want to write down those names. And then you want to go to town on that. If you're able, so you got to, there's various ways to do this, and we can talk about that later, but you need to apply a process of forgiving them. How do you know if you've really forgiven someone? You know that if they're called up and they say, hey, how about dinner? And you want to, I don't know, have bread and wine or go to dinner on a Friday night or hang out and they're safe in your heart. They have got safe passage through your heart, and you may not want to be bosom buddies again, but you will do life with them, or you will have a dinner with them and not harbor this ugly, growing, monstrous feeling of distrust or illness or bitterness or, wanting to freaking lay a curse on them or whatever. You have to release them. Number two, be very discerning when it comes to whether or not you're going to call or meet face-to-face with the person that you forgive, because it can be harmful to your forgiveness process if they are not in a position where they think that you need to forgive them. And even some of the biggest abusers don't think that they need to be forgiven. Go and do some of the research yourself, whether it's a narcissist or a psychopath or a sociopath or just a lot of people out there think like, we're justified, right? You will find all the justification that you need to position yourself as right, and that you were not wrong. We all do it every single day. Be careful and discerning who you decide to meet with and talk to forgive them. And by the way, number three, those that you forgive, you need to ask forgiveness of as well. Why? You have been harboring bitterness and resentment. It doesn't matter what happened to us. It matters how we deal with it. Life is life, right? Stuff happens. The thing that happened is not the most important thing. How we deal with it and how we move forward and how we respond to it is the most important thing. So you will need to ask them for forgiveness as well, because you probably have gossiped about them, slandered their name. You've done those things out of hurt. And whatever you put out there, remember sowing and reaping, remember karma. What you put out there, you're going to get back. You want to be a safe place. You want to be the person that's like, I want a clean heart. I want a clean slate. I just want to push the reset button on everything. And so you want to write those names down. And then you want to write a separate list of those people that you need to call and ask for forgiveness for what you've done to hurt them. We're doing this in a very short space of time. It is a very important and comprehensive process. But if you're committed to it, if you have the right motivation to do this, you'll achieve it. If you need to, you can write down the things that happened to you and burn it. I did this with my clients the other day, all the things that were holding them back in terms of being bold, beautiful, confident women, things that happened long ago, things that happened last week. We just burn that. There's ways of doing things. And Chris has done a lot of this, by the way. He's phenomenal with this stuff. So you want to ask for forgiveness for the people that you've hurt, because you don't want to bring that into your life. You don't want to have that smoke screen in front of you, because you're over here and your prison door might just be over there. And on the other side is freedom. On the other side is amazing freedom. It is going to be some of the hardest work you've ever done, but it is the most valuable work you will ever do in your life. Doors will open, opportunities will suddenly come your way, and you'll think, oh my gosh, what changed? Your heart changed. You walked out of jail. You've got the key. It's Tuesday. You get to choose. So guys, I think we're just about got a couple of minutes left. I'm going to leave you with one thing. of all the things I can leave you with, I'm going to give you an invitation. And we may have some, and we may have none, and we may have a few responding to this. I run a coaching program, and it's all about this stuff: confidence, opportunity, negotiation, writing your own story. How do you break free from stuff and get up, dress up, and be that bold light on a hill? Because bold is what you are. It's in your DNA. You have courage whether you believe it or not. You have a spirit of power whether you believe it or not. You're able to produce life. You have a spirit of power. So I have a coaching program that addresses how to get up, dress up, and be a bold light on a hill, how to establish a vision for your personal style, how to use all the Ferrari that is in your closet, which is your clothing, by the way, and looking good is not expensive. Looking good does not have to break the bank. I teach my clients how to save money, save time, all this stuff. If you want, and I'm offering this to one person, if you're interested in that and you feel like you're ready for the next level to increase your skills and increase your value, then you're going to go out and do something for the next week. You're going to go and see how many people you can help. Who can you help to succeed today? And you're going to write that down, and you're going to send it to me or via Chris, whichever he prefers, and say, this is what I did. These were the results. This is what happened. And because I'm not going to give you anything for free. Nothing for free is of any value. You go out and help people, and then you book a call with my assistant, and we'll talk on the phone. And let me see how I can help you. Okay, that's one. On the other hand, if fashion and personal style is not your thing, we also have a business that does negotiation training that my husband runs. He is the negotiation coach on speed dial to the likes of Adidas, Nokia, Vodafone, Network Rail, all of these guys. And if you are wanting to take your negotiation skills to the next level, how not to do negotiation like everybody else does, because 98% of people do it the same way. They have the same pitfalls and mistakes, and they lose the same opportunities. Then the same thing. You're going to go for the next week, and you're going to keep a track of, because you're going to invest the time, if you're serious, who have you helped? What was it, the detail? How did you help them? What was the result? What was the follow-up? What happened? What was the relationship? All that detail. You get in touch with me, and I will offer you the negotiation skills best practice course, which is worth $300. It's $297. The other coaching program, the fashion one and the personal style, is $3,000. It's over $3,000, but this one is $300. This is good for anybody. Best practice negotiation skills shoots up your confidence because people don't invest this in themselves. And think back to when you were a kid. We are natural negotiators. How many times did you ask for that ice cream? Until like your mother said to you or someone said, ask me once more time, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to ground you. You asked again for the 7th time. That's natural negotiation skills. So guys, I'm going to leave that there. I hope that that's been helpful. I really do. There's obviously a lot more we can talk about in terms of confidence and opportunity and negotiation. But at the end of the day, every day is Tuesday. And you have a spirit of power, a spirit of boldness. You have got a spirit of courage. It's just up to you to release it and use it and move forward. And you can achieve amazing things out there.
Amazing. Linda, thank you. Wow. That was a tour de force. I remember when we first met, we worked together, and it was... I was thinking about this earlier. Was it like fire and ice? It was more like fire and fire. And then I thought, no, it wasn't even fire and fire. It was fire and gunpowder. It was an explosive combination.
It was.
And Lucia, my other half, always refers to you as a magnesium flare. And I think that very aptly describes the energy that you've just been bringing. I mean, people have been saying, where do you get the energy from? And it's from the passion, isn't it? It's just simple as that.
Yeah. It is, because we all have this inside of us, the desire to be free. It's in our DNA. And that was my sole single-minded focus. I have to be free of all the shit that's holding me back. I have to be free. I don't know what that looks like. Free of what? I don't know if I can list it, but I just want to be free. And then when you discover that freedom and you feel it and you live a life out of it, it's not ours to share. I mean, it's not mine to keep, right? Our light is not our own. Our life is not our own. We are all connected. So, yeah, and Chris, like when we moved to, oh my gosh, I was thinking about this the other day as well. You were very generous with me in the beginning because I was still very early on in my personal development journey, and I came in like I was the business shizness, right? And Chris was the creative, and I thought I can do this. I've always wanted to make a movie, and I came in there, and on day 3, I'm like, oh Lord have mercy, what have I done? How do I this is, oh my gosh, I can't do this. and you were very generous with a lot of I challenged you when I had no experience in your industry. And I've always appreciated that we have that challenging, encouraging, special bond that has been a long time now.
Yeah, it's you're one of the gifts in my life, and I'm very, very grateful for that. And you know, I'm often, one of the things in story and story structures is the archetypes of characters that show up, and very often a mentor in a story is someone who will come in and really doesn't know very much about the journey that is happening, but they manage to challenge the lead character in such a way that it reveals something that needs to be either overcome or dealt with or understood. And that's one of the things you did for me massively. I remember I shared this last time, but we had this one big meeting coming up that you'd sorted out, you know, where I would have written an email, he just picked up the phone and demanded that we had a meeting tomorrow with this company that normally I wouldn't even get a chance with. And you put the phone down and you said, right, let's rehearse. I was like, rehearse what? He's like, let's rehearse the meeting. And we spent 3 hours just asking all the questions that they could. And we went into that meeting, and I would like to say that I slayed it, but you slayed the meeting. And that was a revelation to me, like, wow, okay, so you can actually game this stuff. You can just bring tools to it that get extraordinary results. And here's me thinking it's all about how I'm so brilliant and my work is so fabulous. And you just walked in there and got the result that I couldn't have got in a decade.
But I remember that you did so well at that meeting. You see the oftentimes the corporate business world judges the creative world and vice versa. So they're like, well, you know, you guys are corporate pigs and you just earn it for the money. And then the corporate guys are like, you guys are freaking just, you know, get a real job. When in actual fact, it's a beautiful, powerful meeting of minds and talents and skills. And both of those industries are committed and disciplined and passionate and gifted. And when the two collided, I'm like, man, did I learn some stuff from you on the creative process when you went through? I was like, oh my gosh. The brainstorming that I learned, like how to just slow down and really dive deep into a concept, it really grew me. It really challenged me. Really pissed me off a lot of the time, but it enriched my life. And you always have been likewise, Chris. Just a real a gift to me as well. Just making me think differently and bringing real value to my business life as well. It's just been an amazing blessing.
Thank you, Linda. Well, we're going to jump over to Zoom in a second. I just want to share one anecdote with you. And I don't know whether this is true. This is a story that went around social media the other day. It's just about the get up and dress up thing, where a young lawyer went for an interview on Zoom for a job. And the interview went great. And the very last question they said is, could you stand up, please? And she said, why? Because we want to see that you're not in your pajamas. And she was. And she didn't get the job.
So good.
It's brutal.
So good. Yeah, I mean, it is. And Zoom is such an opportunity. People see it oftentimes as a barrier, but there's still people on the other side. There's still a beating heart on the other side. It's still a bridge. It's a connection. It's an opportunity to connect. And yes, I am like on a mission to paint the world red and get them out of their freaking PJs.
Fantastic. So let's just repeat that the now official Linda Potgieter challenge is you have 7 days to make as much difference in other people's lives as possible. And a great place to start is in this community by offering help. It can be a small thing. I'll read your script. It can be a big thing. Be innovative, be creative. Just get out there. If you're feeling uncomfortable about this, you know you're in the right place. Make those phone calls that you know you should make. Connect with people who maybe something went wrong with some time ago. Just check in on them. I don't know about you, Linda, but one of the things I found is that we've all gone into silos. You know, we're into these little kind of communities that are, whatever size they are, we don't go beyond it because we don't have the opportunity to accidentally bump into somebody on the street. We don't accidentally Zoom somebody. You know, we need to adjust for that. We're missing that chaos of randomness in our lives. So let's generate a bit of chaos in the next 7 days. Get uncomfortable, and if it doesn't work, great. It doesn't matter. It's that we went there that's important. Yeah. Okay, so let's head over to Zoom. The link is londonswf.com. londonswf.invite. Man, brain. londonswf.invite link/Zoom. There you go. Thank you, Joe. And we'll see you over there in a couple of minutes. Just wait in the waiting room for us, and then we'll open it up in 2 minutes once Linda's had a drink, and we'll see you there. Thank you, Linda. You have been epically energizing as ever. Thank you everyone for sitting through a challenging conversation, perhaps not the one you thought you were going to have on a Saturday afternoon, but again, that's where the good stuff is. So we'll see you over in Zoom in a couple of minutes. Thank you, Linda. Let's give Linda a round of applause.
Thank you.
Okay,